Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bold and Beautiful just sent Katie down a deadly path. Plus, what's with all the disrespect? If there was one word to describe a lot of what went down on Bold and Beautiful this week, it might be disrespectful. Whether it was Ridge steamrolling Stephy, Hope putting the moves on Finn, or Katie butting into Bill and Poppy's relationship, lines were crossed and bad decisions made all over the place. Oh, also, we've totally figured out who the killer is, and who it isn't, no matter how hard they're trying to convince us otherwise. Read on for the details. I'll give Ridge credit for this much. He at long last accepted the blame for a lot of the pain Steffi and Thomas went through because of his ping-ponging between Taylor and Brooke. As Steffi went in full-blown Logan hater mode, her dad suggested that he, not Brooke, was the person who broke up their family. It was a rare moment of self-awareness from Ridge, which he then went on to completely obliterate. Has Steffi been a tad extreme in her reactions of late? Sure, but the woman has a lot to deal with right now. The last thing she needed was Dad and co-CEO Ridge completely ignoring her feelings about the Brooks bedroom line. This coming on the heels of him overruling her decision to axe the Hope for the future line, and it feel as if he's completely in charge while she's there to do the busy work. It wouldn't have been difficult to compromise on the whole Brooks bedroom line. Why not use Monte Carlo as an opportunity to highlight women of all shapes, sizes and colors? Have Brooke be the spokesperson introducing a bevy of models? Heck, why not use this as an opportunity to bring back much-missed Maya, or maybe Zoe, who as far as we know is still a Forrester model, currently working at the international branch in Paris. For that matter, they could have Paris become one of the new models, which would no doubt tick off Hope. I was sort of hoping that maybe Brooke would suggest that they use the relaunch of the bedroom line to make Hope the new spokesperson. Literally walking in her mother's barely clad footsteps could finally trigger the full-on emergence of the alternate personality it feels like Hope's been developing over the past year. How fun would that be? Sticking with the theme of characters showing a complete lack of respect for one another, let's move on to Hope and Finn. Yes, both of them. Because this week saw Hope basically throwing herself at the hunk despite knowing he's happily married, while Finn didn't bother to tell Steffi about the release from prison of his, say it with me, biological mother. Now I understand him not wanting to admit he was with Hope when he got the news, but Finn waltzed into the main office at Forrester, flirted with Steffi, made out with her a bit and never bothered to tell her the Shyla news. Instead, she found out via a text from her dad. I have loved Katie Logan for as long as I can remember. Longtime viewers will recall that when Bold and Beautiful began, Katie, then played by Nancy Sloan, seen below with Catherine Kelly Langsbrook, was the proverbial ugly duckling who lived in the shadows cast by her older, more glam sisters. At her core, the character has never lost that insecurity, even as she has grown and changed over the years. Lately, however, I've been wanting to throttle Katie, or perhaps more accurately the writers who are crafting her behavior. First, she dumped Carter for no reason and off-screen. Then she suddenly seemed to redevelop feelings for Bill, seemingly prompted by nothing more than his moving on. More recently, she's begun barging into Bill's house. Does nobody on this show know how to lock a door? And in keeping with this week's overall theme, being downright disrespectful to Poppy. I think what really bothers me about this is that, as I mentioned before, Poppy has undergone a complete and completely unmotivated change. Why? So that Katie can be suspicious of her. In the case of both women, the show is putting plot above character, which is a major no-no in soaps. Viewers invest a whole lot of time getting to know the characters. When they suddenly begin acting oddly, we immediately recognize it. While that happens pretty regularly on this particular soap, this case is especially egregious. I mean, they've gone so far as to have Poppy trade her hippie-style clothing for leather skirts and tight-fitting tops. But obviously, this had to be done so that Katie could poke her nose where it doesn't belong, and in the process become the next victim of the killer. Frankly, I expected the Friday Cliffhanger to be something happening to Katie, perhaps her drinking a tainted cup of tea and collapsing. I suppose they could spend all next week having Katie air her accusations against Poppy in order to lead us into next Friday's cliffhanger. In the glitzy world of Los Angeles fashion, where ambition and desire weave as tightly as the finest silk, Katie Logan stood at the heart of a brewing storm. For years, the bold and the beautiful had painted her as the resilient, warm-hearted heroine. But now a darker path awaited her, one fraught with peril and betrayal. It all started innocuously enough. Katie had been enjoying a rare moment of tranquility at Forrester Creations. The company was riding high on a wave of success, thanks in no small part to her efforts in the PR department. However, the calm was shattered when an anonymous email landed in her inbox. The subject line read, "The truth will destroy you." Curiosity piqued, Katie opened the message. It contained a single cryptic line. "Meet me at the Old Pier tonight. Alone." Attached was a grainy photograph of Bill Spencer, her ex-husband, standing with a shadowy figure. Her mind raced with possibilities. Who sent this? What could Bill be up to now? She had to find out. Later that evening, Katie found herself at the Old Pier, a place that held memories of both romance and hardtack. The air was thick with tension and the faint smell of salt water. She scanned the area, but it seemed deserted. As she turned to leave, a figure stepped out of the shadows. It was Shyla Carter. "Shyla, what are you doing here?" Katie's voice was a mixture of shock and anger. "Relax, Katie," Shyla replied, her tone cold and calculating. "I have information that you need to hear. Bill is planning something big, something that will ruin lives, including yours." Katie's heart pounded. She didn't trust Shyla, but the woman had a knack for knowing everyone's darkest secrets. "Why should I believe you?" she demanded. "Because," Shyla hissed, stepping closer, "if you don't, you'll be the one who ends up destroyed." Before Katie could respond, Shyla disappeared into the night, leaving her with more questions than answers. The next few days were a blur of suspicion and paranoia. She began to notice things. Strange phone calls, people whispering as she passed, and Bill's sudden, inexplicable absences. Katie's life started to unravel. Her colleagues at Forrester Creations seemed distant, their conversations halting whenever she approached. Even her sister Brooke appeared to be hiding something. The tension reached a boiling point during a meeting with Ridge Forrester. "Katie, what's going on with you?" Ridge asked, concern etched on his face. "You've been distracted lately, and it's affecting your work." "I can't explain it, Ridge," Katie replied, her voice trembling. "But I feel like everyone is keeping something from me." As Ridge tried to reassure her, Katie couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. She needed answers, and she needed them fast. Desperation drove her to confront Bill, directly. She barged into his office, her eyes blazing with determination. "Bill, what are you hiding from me?" she demanded, her voice echoing in the sleek, modern room. Bill looked up, surprised but composed. "Katie, I have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me," Katie shouted. "I know you're involved in something dangerous, and I won't let you drag me or our son into it." Bill's expression hardened. "You need to back off, Katie. You're getting yourself into something you can't handle." The confrontation left Katie more determined than ever to uncover the truth. She enlisted the help of Carter Walton, Forrester Creations' legal counsel, and her close friend. Together, they started digging into Bill's recent activities, uncovering a trail of deceit and manipulation. As they delved deeper, they discovered that Bill had been working with a notorious crime syndicate to secure a lucrative deal that would give him unprecedented power in the fashion industry. The shadowy figure in the photograph was the syndicate's leader, a ruthless man known only as the Wolf. Katie realized the danger she was in. Bill's involvement with the Wolf put her directly in the line of fire. She had to find a way to protect herself and her loved ones. With Carter's help, she gathered evidence and prepared to expose Bill's criminal activities. But as they were about to go public, Disaster struck. Katie received a chilling phone call. "If you value your life, you'll drop this investigation," the voice on the other end threatened. "Or you'll end up like the others." Fear gripped Katie's heart. She knew she couldn't back down, but the stakes were higher than ever. She needed to be careful, to outsmart Bill and the wolf without putting herself in more danger. Meanwhile, the tension at Forrester Creations continued to escalate. The team was on edge, the atmosphere thick with mistrust. Katie's relationships with her colleagues became strained as whispers of her investigation spread. Brooke, in particular, seemed unusually distant, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and sorrow. One night, as Katie was working late, she heard footsteps approaching her office. Her heart raced as she turned to face the intruder. It was Brooke, her face pale and eyes wide with worry. "Katie, we need to talk," Brooke said, her voice trembling. "I've been keeping something from you." Katie's breath caught in her throat. "What is it, Brooke? What do you know?" Brooke hesitated, tears welling up in her eyes. "Bill's been threatening me, Katie. He said if I didn't keep quiet about his dealings, he would ruin my life and everyone I care about." Katie's world spun. Her own sister had been coerced into silence. She realized then that the danger was closer than she had ever imagined. Bill was willing to go to any lengths to protect his secrets, and that meant no one was safe. Determined to put an end to the madness, Katie and Brooke devised a plan. They would gather all the evidence and present it to the authorities, ensuring that Bill and the wolf would face justice. It was a risky move, but they had no other choice. The day of reckoning arrived. Katie and Brooke stood side by side, their resolve unwavering as they handed over the incriminating evidence to the police. The ensuing investigation rocked the fashion world, sending shockwaves through Forrester Creations and beyond. Bill was arrested, his empire crumbling around him. The wolf, however, remained elusive, a constant threat lurking in the shadows. Katie knew that the battle was far from over, but she was no longer afraid. She had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, ready to protect her family and her future. In the aftermath, Forrester Creations began to heal. Trust was slowly rebuilt, and Katie's relationships with her colleagues mended. The journey had been perilous, but it had also revealed the true strength of her character. As the sun set over Los Angeles, casting a golden glow over the city, Katie stood on the balcony of her home, reflecting on the trials she had overcome. She knew that the road ahead would still be fraught with challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. For in the world of the bold and the beautiful, where deception and danger lurked at every turn, Katie Logan had proven that she was more than capable of navigating even the deadliest of paths.